Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about Napoleon Hill and this concept that I came across in one of his books called Outwitting the Devil. And it's all basically about the other self. In this book, Napoleon talks about, in the first section of it, about the other self. And basically, I want to go into that because I'm a huge fan of Napoleon Hill's works. I love Think and Grow Rich. I've read The Law of Success, the Laws of Success, and also Outwitting the Devil. And that's one I've recently started to reread. It's probably a book that I've read perhaps like somewhere between 3 to 5 times. I think 5 times I've read it. But anyway, I want to talk about this concept because I think it's so interesting. So in the book, he calls it the other self, and basically he gives a few sort of like examples of when the other self kind of kicks in for him. And basically it sounds like he just heard an inner voice that told him what the right thing to do was, and he listened to that voice, he trusted that inner voice, followed it, and it actually led into some great successes and basically led him to do the greatest work of his life. So basically I want to talk about this, and I think there's a lot of other names for it. I think another name for it that we use more commonly now is the higher self. I guess it could be like trusting your instincts, something like that. Having this kind of like trust of knowing what the right thing is to do and doing that thing. So I've had a couple of experiences with this, things that have told me to, take this kind of route, even with some of my video ideas. Like this was a video that I felt like I got from my other self, something that I really wanted to talk about. And I felt like it was the right thing to do in the right time to discuss these sorts of things. So we have this internal chatterbox, which I don't think really is the higher self. I think this is more like the egoic mind. Now, this is something that I struggle with a lot, and I still struggle with it. I'm going to be honest. This chatterbox, my chatterbox is a really nervous, fearful creature, right? That overthinks everything, right? This is my internal chatterbox, and sometimes it's quite negative. Sometimes, but most of the time it's very anxious and very fearful, very worried, concerned about literally everything. And that's kind of like how my inner chatterbox speaks to me. But as along with that, I can also feel this other voice that tells me what to do, in pretty much almost nearly every kind of circumstances. And it's that voice inside me is the one that tries to calm down the chatterbox. The one that tries to it's kind of like the voice of reason in a way, that says, your worries, what you're experiencing right now, your fears right now aren't accurate. Calm down, basically. Like, it's weird. I think it's something like Eckhart Tolle talks about as well. Like he says, like there's this, there's your chatterbox. There's like the egoic mind that's always like concerned with little kind of tedious things that don't really matter that much. Or they do matter, but there's other ways to look at it, basically. And then you have this other part of yourself that is very still, that is kind of just like the awareness, the one that is kind of just present, this kind of, because when you can kind of experience it mostly when you're meditating, and you kind of just being very present and in the moment, when you're kind of not really thinking that much, but there is still this awareness, still this presence. And I think that this is where the other self, as Napoleon Hill will talk about it, comes into play. And it's the ones that gives you those inspirational thoughts, that place that, shows you the right path, the path that is the right path. And you can usually tell if something is the right path for you, if you can tell if the kind of action is the right sort of action for you, if it's a knowing, like if you really know, like, hey, I just had this thought, it sounds like a brilliant idea, and you have no doubt about it, especially in that moment. It might be the case that your chatterbox will come up with excuses later, but in that moment you're like, yes, this is the right trajectory for me, this is the right thing that I need to do right now, this is the right thing for me. And it's listening to that and trusting that voice when it happens, because usually, I talk about Mel Robbins a lot on this channel as well. In fact, one of my most popular videos was from a topic about a book about that Mel Robbins recently released, and she discusses the 5-second rule a lot. And basically, the 5-second rule is basically, there's like a 5-second window to when your doubt starts kicking in, and stuff like that. The best way I can describe it is if you have an inspired thought, and you have 5 seconds basically to act on it, right? And by the time those 5 seconds have gone, if you haven't acted on it, it's more likely that your chatterbox is going to start giving you the information of doubt. I know the 5-second rule is used in many other different ways. The famous one that Mel Robbins talks about is how she gets out of bed every morning. She goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and jumps out of bed, stuff like that. So she talks about that. So you can use it in loads of different ways, loads of scenarios. So it's a really good trick, basically, that you can use in a lot of different kind of circumstances. So, you need to act on these things when you can, because it could be the case that you've only got a 5-second window before you start doubting yourself, right? So trusting the other self is really important. And I think that is what's going to lead you. Trusting that voice is what's going to lead you to your destiny, just like how it did for Napoleon Hill. And how it led him, because he trusted his this other self, and it led him to write The Law of Success, and then later on, obviously, his most famous publication, which was Think and Grow Rich. So that's what we've got to really consider here. We have to look. I could have huge success. I could reach my destiny. Whatever it may be, because it may not be the same kind of success as like what Napoleon Hill was perhaps looking for, or what Elon Musk is looking for, or what someone else might. For you, it could be just, I want to be the best mother in the world, or something like that. Or it could be, I just want to be the best that I can be at my job. Or it could be, I just want to be an artist. I just really love art. I don't mind if I don't become wealthy from it, or something like that. But I believe trusting your instincts takes you to your destiny, whichever that destiny is for you. It could be and because that's what it did for Napoleon Hill. It led him, trusting that voice led him to his destiny. So, take some time because a lot of these times happened that I read in Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill said in this book that, these kinds of things happened to him. His other self started speaking to him when he would be out on a walk or something like that, just doing something mundane where he's probably not thinking that much. And then something just pops in and he's like, oh, something's telling me to do this, and then he goes straight away and he acts on it and he does it. So whenever you get this inspired thought, when everything drops into your head and you think, oh, this feels like the right thing for me to do, and you get goosebumps, you feel really excited, that's how you know it's your other self. And then you go out there and you just act on it and do whatever it is that your inner voice told you to do. And that's what I think is really amazing about this concept of the other self, the higher self, trusting your instincts. You can label it anything that you want, but it's that inner voice inside of you. And I feel like if we always trust that inner voice that's showing us the right thing to do, it will ultimately lead us to where we are supposed to be and lead us to our greatest destiny, whatever that may be for you. It could be something financial, it could be something to do with your relationships, it could be something to do with your hobbies, your creativity, your relationships with other people, like your family and your friends, whatever it may be individually for you and what's important to you. So think about that, what is important to me, and then trust your instincts on what action you should take, and trust that. And don't trust the nervous voice in your head. Like for me, mine is the nervous, fearful thing that just sort of overthinks absolutely everything and all that kind of stuff. So just trust that, and yeah, we'll just see what happens, basically. Give it some time. Obviously, don't expect amazing results straight away, but perhaps something amazing will happen straight away. You don't know, and you'll never know unless you try. So thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy that you tuned in today. Leave your thoughts down in the comments as well, and let me know if you've read this book as well. It's a great insight, great book. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.